Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, the Horror Boy. Welcome back to some more reviews, and welcome to my review on Zodiac. Now, this is a 2007 film, gets a 7.7 on IMDb, directed by David Fincher. Now, I know this is a bit of a random review, but this actually was recommended to me by my good friend Mac. I'll be leaving a link to his channel in the description below. I want to say a big thank you to him for recommending this movie to me. And it's a movie that I have heard about for a long time, definitely for years, and I just never had a chance to sit down and watch it, and I was always intrigued by the Zodiac Killer. I never really knew much about the case. So this is one of those things where I was watching documentaries and I was watching videos about the Zodiac killings and really getting into the case, and when this recommended to me, it was perfect timing, because I was already interested in the case and researching it, because I'd always heard about the Zodiac Killer, but I never really knew the story behind it. I never really knew the case or the events that happened. So watching the documentaries and doing the research, then checking this movie out, really just shows the detail in this movie. And the movie's plot is very simple. It's basically retelling the events of the Zodiac killings, sort of the beginning of the crimes, and him sending these messages to this editing post or these news post areas. And of course, at one of these buildings, you have Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr. working in the same building, and they are receiving letters from the Zodiac Killer. And they start publishing these notes and putting the Zodiac Killer in the newspaper. And the whole movie is just a really well-paced, even though it is a long movie, it's a well-paced, very much detailed retelling of the Zodiac killings and the case, and it goes into all of it. It goes into while the killings are happening years later. It follows Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who's writing this book on the Zodiac Killer, trying to figure out who the Zodiac Killer is, and sort of his obsession with the case, and trying to really figure out who is the Zodiac Killer. And even Robert Downey Jr.'s character becomes affected in this movie to where he starts kind of spiraling down his own rabbit hole. And you also do have Mark Ruffalo in this movie, who plays a detective who's also investigating the case. And it's sort of these three characters' own stories within the movie, and sort of the different paths they go down, and it cuts to each character and what they're doing in the movie. And it reenacts some of the murders. It shows, and I like the idea they had a different actor playing the Zodiac Killer in each scene. So you really don't get a good look at the killer's face, or you don't really get a solid look for the killer, because, it is a very mysterious thing where we really don't know much about the Zodiac Killer and what he looked like. The descriptions are kind of similar to the killer, but at the same time, nobody really has a good look at his face. Until the end of the movie, where they talk to one of the victims that survived, and they show him a bunch of pictures, and he points at the one that he thinks is the Zodiac Killer. But yeah, this movie, to get into a little bit more, I think that it is a extremely well-made movie. And I'm not usually a guy who likes to watch almost 3-hour-long movies, and I've seen the extended cut of this movie. So the theatrical cut is like 2 hours and 37 minutes. My cut that I watched was like 2 hours and 40-something minutes long. So it was pushing 3 hours long. And I'm not really a big fan of movies that push that 3-hour mark. I'm just not. Mainly because a lot of them that do that don't work. A lot of them that try to do the whole 3-hour movie thing, they don't make it interesting enough. They don't really have the characters to do it with, or it doesn't really have a greatest story. So really, to do these long movies, you need to have everything on point, because that one thing that's not done right, you begin to lose the audience. I recently reviewed The Batman. Of course, I'm wearing a Batman shirt. Very ironic for this review. But The Batman is a very long movie. It's nearly 3 hours long. And if it wasn't done right, I feel like it could have been disastrous. Now, for some people, they feel like that movie's boring, but I don't understand that. But this movie, seeing that runtime, it was definitely like, I acknowledged the runtime, but it wasn't like one of those things where I was like, oh my god, it's almost 3 hours long. Mainly because I was really intrigued by this plot. And I was really just interested in the case, and I've been researching the case and watching the videos and documentaries and podcasts about the Zodiac Killer. So I was already kind of sucked into this world of the Zodiac Killer. And to see this movie was definitely a good way to kind of, all right, this is the film, this is the retelling of all the events. And I think that they really, really nailed everything in this movie. I think it has a lot of things that makes it work for the runtime. And that was what I was getting to, was this movie almost being 3 hours long, it didn't feel like it at all. It didn't drag at all. It didn't have any slow points. It kept you engaged. And what's crazy is that most of it is not, Hollywood, entertainment factors where, oh, we're going to put this stuff in there. A lot of it is based off of facts and things that really happened. And while you're watching the movie, you're thinking about that. And I'm also going to be reviewing this movie later on, which I love, Seven. I love this movie. Of course, another Fincher movie. I believe he did this right after Alien 3. I never got a chance to review this movie, so I'm going to give this movie a review here soon. Because I seen this, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't review Seven. So I figured it'd be a good double review, just to kind of do this, then Seven. But I love Seven. I think Seven's a very creepy movie, but the fact that this movie really happened, and that it's based off of true events, when you're watching it, it feels haunting, it feels chilling, and it feels very creepy. And it nails the atmosphere. It has a great look to it. I think all the scenes look very authentic, whether it's the early 70s, the mid 70s, the late 60s. I think David Fincher and the rest of the crew did an amazing job at making it look like it was in the 70s, and down to the costumes. And I think that what I love most about that is that in a lot of movies, they over-exaggerate it. They do it too much where you're like, all right, I don't buy this as in the 70s. This is too silly. Not at all in this movie. I bought it 100%. Everything down to the typewriters and the telephones and the way the newscasting looks and cameras. They got down to every single detail to make it an authentic feel. And I think that is definitely a very strong point in this movie. And it is also a very, very well shot movie. Every single scene is very well lit and edited. It's shot just extremely beautifully and sometimes creepy. It has a wonderful amount of cinematography and shots and angles. Just a great, well shot movie overall. Looks fantastic. I also enjoyed the music in this movie. The music does a great job at building suspense, building an atmosphere, keeping you thrilled, keeping you on the edge of your seat. And then I also love the soundtrack of the various songs they use in this movie from the 70s, from the 60s. And the main song I thought was a very good sort of theme song for the movie. And I thought it was very creepy sounding. So I love the soundtrack. I love the score to the movie. I love the mystery. I love the story. The story is very, very engaging. And it's very creepy because it's real. It happened, There's not much in this movie that is over-exaggerated and, oh my god, it's Hollywood, so we gotta put some stuff in there. No, it's very grounded, it's very well done, it's very realistic, it's staying true to what we know about the Zodiac case, and yeah, I love that, because you don't get too many authentic crime mystery movies. A lot of them that are based off of true stories, they're over-exaggerated. They're to the point to where they're almost fantasy. And this movie does a great job at keeping the added Hollywood stuff to a very minimum. I mean, there's not much in this movie that I was like, okay, that probably didn't happen. But it just kept you engaged. It kept you, you rooted for Jake Gyllenhaal's character to find out who the Zodiac Killer was. Even though in the back of your mind that there wasn't really a confirmed killer. Now, there was a lot of suspects over the years. There was a person that they thought was the Zodiac Killer, but before they had a chance to interview him one more time, he passed away. So we really don't know who the Zodiac Killer is. Still to this day. And there's rumors. I don't know if this is true or not, so don't quote me, but there's rumors that people have cracked the codes and found out the real identity of the Zodiac Killer. I don't know too much of that side of it. I really don't. I'm more of following this movie's events and the past events. I'm not too familiar with the. I'm guessing they might have cracked the code and maybe found out who the Zodiac killer was. I don't know much about that, so don't quote me on that. I don't know much about that at all. Um, but over the years, it's just a very fascinating case of just how, over so many years, it was never, at least that I know of, it was never found out who the Zodiac killer was. It was never a solved case. A lot of it was just maybe, theories, maybe rumors, maybe, nothing really concrete. And that's the very haunting thing about this movie. I use haunting because it's a very good word to describe this movie. The ending of the movie is one of the most effective endings I've seen, of just making you feel this really just kind of gut-wrenching feeling. This feeling that the Zodiac killer is still out there somewhere, that we don't know who the Zodiac killer is. There's a lot of people that are maybe suspects for the Zodiac, but that feeling that it was never solved, it keeps it really haunting. And the movie has a great tone to it. It's a very well done movie. Has a little bit of levity in there, but what I love about this movie is that they didn't let it get in the way. It's levity, but it wasn't like it was turning into a comedy. It was just there to kind of lighten the mood of the movie sometimes, and it worked. I also thought the performances by Robert Downey Jr. and Jake Gyllenhaal and also Mark Ruffalo, three very solid characters, and their acting was on point. Definitely a great cast, this movie. And you've also got quite a bit of other people in this movie. I mean, you got Anthony Edwards. I know that you've got Elias Kokiss in there from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There we go. But yeah, we got Elias Kokiss in there, Casey Jones, Rob Stevenson, Anthony Edwards, Brian Cox is also in this movie. John Carroll Lynch, who plays his character named Arthur Lee Allen, who was basically the guy who was narrowed down to as most likely being the Zodiac killer. Because in this movie, they really do hint that he's possibly the Zodiac killer. But really, it's up to you to decide. I mean, they have all kinds of red herrings in this movie of, can this person be the Zodiac? Can this person be the Zodiac? And so, when you're getting into it and you're following Jake Gyllenhaal's character, you're there with the character. You are there, you are engaged in the movie, and you're just like him. You're wondering, okay, is this person the killer? Oh, this handwriting is very similar to this person's handwriting. And he goes down this rabbit hole. And he just begins to just get really into it, and he's got books everywhere, and he's just obsessed with finding out who this killer is. And you're there with him. You're right there with the character. You're wanting to find out who this killer is. And basically, the Arthur Lee Allen character, or Arthur Lee Allen in real life, was basically like the prime suspect in a way. He was kind of the guy who they all thought was the Zodiac. But John Carroll Lynch, I recognize him from The Walking Dead. I think he's the guy who trains Morgan in that show how to basically value life and everything. He's a great actor. I mean, I've seen him in plenty of movies. But yeah, this movie is just extremely well made. It's got a lot of just effective scenes and just very, very, very well made movie. And it's just shot very well, directed very well. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really well made movie. It's a very, very well made movie. It's got everything nailed to me. I think it does a great job at the suspense elements, and it's just overall, I think Fincher did an amazing job with this movie. It's very effective. It's kind of underrated because I didn't really hear much about this movie before I seen it. I really didn't, and it's kind of an underrated film. So, yeah, I'm going to give it probably an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It's a very solid movie. It's effective. It's scary. It's creepy. It's just overall very well done. And, yeah, I definitely want to say thank you to Mac for recommending this movie to me. It was a very, very awesome movie. It was a very solid movie, and it was extremely well made. But anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts on the film in the comments below. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But yeah, if you have seen it, let me know your guys' thoughts on the film in the comments below. Sorry, I can't say that for some reason, but just yeah, leave in the comments your thoughts on the movie, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. The Explorer 4 is out. Peace.